who come here, and I've had a number of people who send emails asking my opinion of the Mayan prophecy regarding the year 2012. And, you know, I began to dabble in that because basically what it's about is this ancient culture ended their calendar on December the 21st, 2012, which is the winter solstice. And, of course, that was, or that is, very close to us. I mean, in times of, you know, years and so forth, it's, what, a little less than 4 years away. Evidently, from, you know, as I've tried to read and understand these people, they were a very ancient culture, and they developed an extremely sophisticated writing system, as well as a sophisticated system of astronomy. And you know, what I try to do, is what I do with everything, and that is look at the credibility of someone or some group before getting too involved. I don't like quoting people's work or, you know, what they have to say or what their prophecies are. I mean, we've all lived through that stuff. But I wanted to really take a close look, and for that reason, I probably got involved maybe initially a little deeper than I had planned to, because things started to come up which looked interesting. So there's no way that I would be able to conclude this in an hour today, and so we'll carry this over, and we might carry it over and over. I don't know. But back to these people who look at something going to happen in an extremely drastic way. On December 21st, 2012, the Mayans were a culture that bloomed into existence around 1800 BC in an area of what we now know as southern Mexico. Southern Mexico, Guatemala, and Honduras. That's basically where they were located. In looking at their culture, well, I'll just have to get back here for 1 second. Okay. What I'm going to do here is to try to get you and me both to understand what was said, to try to see if it has any references or connections with our present scientific and physics culture. I mean, is there anything connected biblically? So in order to try and understand them, I went to a website called The Living Prophecy, which studies the works of the 7th century Mayan prophecy. But it studied the works not so much of the Mayans as a group, but in particular Pakal Votan. And so there were some thoughts, and this is the prophecy, and I know it's going to be a little difficult for you to get the email, the address there, but I think it would suffice if you went on Google and just typed in Living Prophecy. But that's their website, and that's what their address is. Kathy, if you could come over here and just focus on this until I say to stop to it. We'll give people who would be interested in writing that down, you know, a chance to look at it, okay? I am in no way commenting on the authenticity of this website. I don't know, but it just happens to be one of the first ones I came across that I thought, well, it looked pretty well researched. But anyhow, you can come back, Kath. Who was Pacal, P-A-C-A-L, Votan? He was considered, in the middle of this jungle atmosphere, an astronomical and astrological master. Here he is. And the question would be, who is he? Quite a headdress here, and you can see this is a stone carving which they had back in those times. But here's a guy who, if you think about it, the only kind of resemblance they could get was in this kind of a stone carving with this Indian-type headdress on. But here he is remembered as a master of astronomy in the middle of the jungles. Lived from 603 to 683 A.D. Now, during the height of the classic Mayan civilization, Lord Pacal Votan ruled the empire of what's called Na-Chen Palenque. And in present-day, maps, it's Chiapas, Mexico. And he was there for about 42 years. We'll look at the next slide. We'll see that what it says here about Votan. He is revered as the chief engineer. Can you imagine this? The chief engineer who guided the Mayan missionary of inscripting stone monuments with precise astronomical and astrological information during his reign in the 10th Baktun of 435 to 830 A.D. Now, he's the chief engineer in an extremely ancient culture. All right. Known as a magician of time, he understood mathematics or numbers as a type of language that transcends the subjectivity of human verbal experience. His sentiment was, all is number. God is a number. God is in all. Incidentally, that's what the Muslim name of God means, Allah, in all, A-L-L-A-H. It's an intriguing way to catalog the Maya's message that we are intimately linked and informed by the galaxy. That's what he was teaching and experimenting with back in 435 A.D. All of life is ordered, he said, by the same basic reoccurring patterns. So we're not going to rush through this, as I said, because it just wouldn't make any sense. We have to slow down here because we're talking about something that I found does have a connection, and amazingly, it has a connection with supernova 1987. His recorded prophecy is extremely interesting because of the current debate raging in the world currently concerning global warming and the prophecies of disasters that have been uttered by former Vice President Al Gore. But look at this, going back just about 2,000 years ago to what Votan said. Pacal Votan's prophecy speaks of the close of this world's age cycle. Not blowing the place up, not an Armageddon of armies, but a close of this world age cycle on December the 21st, 2012. As this date approaches, we are collectively in a transition phase of the old world dying and a new world being born. What's so fascinating about this is that we who live in 2008 now are actually seeing it with our own eyes. I mean, you're seeing the old ways starting to fall apart. So, based on knowledge of the larger circles as time as mapped by the ancient Maya, Pacal Votan knew that humanity as a species would become disconnected from the laws of the natural world. Isn't that amazing? He knew what was going to happen and would fall ignorant of our sacred interdependence with nature. Here's a guy back almost 2,000 years ago, astronomy and all of this stuff down in Mexico. He knew that humanity as a species would become disconnected from the laws of the natural world and would fall ignorant of our sacred interdependence with nature. He also knew that modern humanity would be put to the test to see if we can regain our conscious connection to the natural times as the universal frequency of synchronization, evolving beyond the constructs of man-made linear time. This is extremely interesting as you dig into it, because what he is saying is, man made 60 minutes in an hour. Man made 7 days in a week. And all of this kind of stuff. And he said that what is going to have to happen for life to survive here is that we're going to have to move away from man-made linear time and go back to universal natural time. You see, that's why, as I had initially been going to drop this, when I started getting in with Wotan, I said, gee, this is very interesting. Let me tell you why I initially really got turned off by it. I initially got turned off by it because as I studied, I found that, I don't know if we really want to take the Mayan culture as a whole and focus on what they would perceive as a new world, a new mind, and all that. And you know why? Because they practiced human sacrifice to the gods, and most of the times they killed children. Now, when I saw that, I said, oh, geez, what am I going to do? Study? But on the other hand, when I narrowed it down to one person, it became obvious to me that it's possible, even in a society like that, for there to be a scientific genius. So let's talk about this for a moment. And we'll make a few comments relative to what this really is. First, the 2012 prophecy I am taking totally away from the Mayan culture because of what I told you about killing children. However, I place it at the door of a scientist of the caliber that we've studied in ancient Greece, namely Pakhal Wotan, a very, very special person. And as I said that when I first looked at the Mayan culture and I was going to take this on and people had asked me about it, I really got turned off because of this. This prophetic transmission is clearly demonstrated after a sense of natural frequencies. Can humanity as a whole awaken to the discrepancy of our man-made? No, I'm off here. What this comment is, before I get to the other thing of being turned off, what this comment is that this prophetic transmission, in other words, Wotan's prophecy, is clearly demonstrated in the mathematical ratio constants of natural and artificial timing frequencies. I don't even know what that means, and I don't really care. What science is saying, looking at this, is that when they get into the mathematics of all of these things and how it might come down to 2012, December 21st, there is a mathematical constant of natural and artificial timing. Can humanity, and this is what Wotan asked, can humanity as a whole awaken to the discrepancy of our man-made timing standard that has set us apart from the rest of nature? And can we get back in harmony with the timing frequency of the living universe. I think that's great. And I think it's great coming from this person so long ago. I think it's amazing. But anyhow, let's get to the point what I was...
I have a question. What does it mean to get back in the timing frequency of the living universe?
Well, getting back in harmony.
Oh, in harmony, okay.
With the timing frequency of the living universe. You know, we don't really... That's all covered here, so we'll get into that. But let me show you what, hopefully, yes, this is what bothered me. The Maya practiced human sacrifice. In some Maya rituals, people were killed by having their arms and legs held while a priest cut the person's chest open and tore out his heart as an offering. This is depicted on ancient objects such as pictorial texts known as codices. It is believed that children were often offered as sacrificial victims because they were believed to be pure. So and I said, please, they're going to tell us, you know, how we're going to live better. But as I studied more and more and more, I realized that it wasn't them, it was Pakal Votan, the scientist of this ancient time. Basically, the Mayans eventually embraced the Roman Catholic Church, and that's where they are now. I mean, they're part of that tradition. But as far as us and our lives and the change of our lives, I consider this only on the basis of the work and the comments of Pakal Votan. Let's look at the key consideration or points that Votan made in his prophecy concerning the change that he foretold was going to come on December 2012. He understood mathematics or numbers as a language that transcends the subjectivity of human verbal experience. Okay? His sentiment, all is number, God is a number, God is in all, is an intriguing way to catalog the message that we are intimately linked with and informed by the galaxy. All of life is ordered by the same basic recurring patterns. All of life. All right? Pakal Votan knew that humanity as a species would become disconnected from the laws of the natural world and would fall ignorant of our sacred interdependence with nature. And he also knew that modern humanity would be put to the test to see if we can regain our conscious connection to natural time as the universal frequency evolving beyond the construction of man-made linear time. Well, we already went through that, but we went through it again. Votan was a numbers man, as were the ancient Greeks. All is number, he said. And remember something here. Votan, as a studious person, which he obviously was, would have probably access to the works of Democritus and Empedocles, Hippocrates, and all these guys from Greece who came way, way, way before him. So he wasn't the first, but he was the first kind of in the North American continent. What's very curious to me, as we come upon this, is the fact that we are in the planning stages of introducing a new session here of Hidden Meanings, and that would be the numerology sessions that Michael Fiaro is going to have. And here we're seeing this stuff that comes out of ancient, very ancient times, where all of the emphasis is on number, and you'll see so many of the physicists today who carry that same concept, and so many of the Greek scholars. That second statement there, humanity as a species, is a prophecy that has been fulfilled with global warming and the part that cosmic pollution plays in it. And the third statement that we would be put to the test is the need for us to understand natural time. And what is natural time? Natural time is based on the zodiac and the precession of the equinoxes as opposed to the time that we use. See, we have 12 months of 30 days. But the natural time is 12 signs of, 2,600 days, something like that, years. And so that's natural time, which is so much different than our linear time. The third statement is that we have to understand the precession of the equinoxes. We have to understand the zodiac. And so we get to the point of natural time, which is how the earth changes, depending not only on days and weeks, but on the universal frequency, which is a synchronized movement. In other words, the harmony between the cosmic body movement and the earth. Now, humans have changed things on the earth, obviously, and we're all part of that. But if you think about it, the earth and the sky are exactly the same as they were thousands of years ago. Oh, no, we have shopping. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the forests and the oceans and all that kind of stuff. And you look up at the sky and it's clouds, or there's blue, or there's dark. Same thing was hundreds of thousands of years ago. That didn't change. We changed. 24 hours in a day, 60 minutes in an hour, the calendar that was put together, all these are man-made and have nothing in common with actual time, which depends totally on a synchronized harmony between the cosmic bodies and the earth. So I'm going to go to the next one. This is a concern of Wotan's. Can humanity, and this is what he said. It's surprising to me how they've got this guy's books and they got his records and so forth, and yet everybody drifts and just looks at the Bible, and they don't have anything. Anyhow, can humanity as a whole awaken to the discrepancy of our man-made timing standard that has set us apart from the rest of nature and get back in harmony with the timing frequency of the living universe? Well, that's his question. Can we? There are seasons of the universe, and change is brought upon the earth in the same way that the seasons of the earth bring about changes. Winter is different than summer, is different than spring, is different than fall. Well, there are seasons of the universe as well. And Aquarius is different than Pisces, is different than Taurus, etc., etc. Okay? Without being aware of the actual time of the universe, if you don't understand this as to how you should live in a particular season of the universe, then it's the same as you're going to go to the beach in February. Or you're going to wear, heavy clothes and gloves and a hat in August. We're totally ignorant of the season we're living in. We don't know about it. We don't understand it at all. And we kind of exist as if it doesn't exist, and it does. Everybody runs around with a head on top of their shoulders, which is an electronic wizardry of gadgetry that's computerized and so forth, all kinds of electrical things going on in there. And yet all of this electrical stuff that comes down from above, we don't even give it a thought as to how it can affect us. We are less than 4 years away from December 21st, 2012. And what I want you to keep in mind is what Wotan was prophesying is very much in line with our understanding of supernova 1987A and the Vesica Piscis, which I will get into as we go along. That's what really struck me here. Well, we've been talking here about supernova for ages and about the Vesica Piscis, two circles that intersect. And this connects to it entirely. So we're looking at December 21st, 2012, not as a prophecy of an ancient culture, but as a prophecy of an ancient scientist and astronomer. In December 21st, 2012 and the prophecies of others besides Wotan, what do we have? This time we are now in has been called the time of trial on earth, Judgment Day, the time of great purification, the end of this creation, the quickening, the end of time as we know it, the shift of the ages. It is foretold that the completion of the precession. Now, I want you to look at that word. It's not procession. You know what a procession is? Everybody marches with candles. That's not what this is. The completion of the precession brings regeneration of earth, offering awakening to all open and willing hearts. Many people spoke of these last days of the great cycle, including the Maya, the Hopi, the Egyptians, the Kabbalists, the Essenes, Quero elders of Peru, Navajo, Cherokee, Apache, Iroquois, Confederacy, Dogon tribe, and the Aborigines. It's interesting to see the American Indian tribes among those, isn't it? Who are identified as being aware of this, about the regeneration of the earth and the awakening. Now, let's see where we go with this. By going to a news edition of USA Today. Okay, let's open USA Today. USA Today does Maya calendar predict 2012 apocalypse. Jeffrey McDonald, special to USA Today. With humanity coming up fast on 2012, publishers are helping readers gear up and count down to this mysterious, and some even call it apocalyptic date, that ancient Mayan societies were anticipating thousands of years ago. Now, you know the word that interests me in that news article is the word apocalyptic. When one considers the apocalypse, and so many writers have written books, you know, and you see the destruction, and you see the armies, you know, and all this kind of stuff. But when one considers the apocalypse, we think of the end of the world and terrible destruction. That's why many Christian people are anxious to see a nuclear raid on Iran to start what they believe will bring Jesus back in the apocalypse. But here's the funny thing. It's not funny. That's not what the word apocalypse means. When you look at the definition of the word apocalypse, you see something entirely different. Look at this. From Wikipedia, apocalypse, which is a Greek word, means lifting of the veil. It's a term applied to the disclosure of certain privileged persons of something hidden from the majority of humankind. Now, that's why your meditation is so very important. You've got to be the privileged person who has made contact, because it's going to be hidden from the majority of humankind. Today, the term is often used to mean end of planet Earth, which may be a shortening of the phrase apocalypsis eschaton, which literally means revelation at the end of the eon or age. Revelation. In other words, enlightenment. Light, I understand, I can see, I figure this out. And you know doggone well, you come in here, that you hear things. I show you people from all over the world. They've never heard this kind of stuff before. And you're understanding, you're hearing things. And the people outside here have no clue about this. And that's what that says. The apocalypse is going to be a disclosure to you of something hidden from the majority of mankind. That's why it's interesting if this connects to the apocalypse, and it does. And so here, we see this is what the book of Revelation is about. But the completely unknowing religious writers portray it as a physical battle between armies. You know what? I'll show you how dumb this is. There's no reason that they should have misunderstood that Armageddon or whatever you want to call it, apocalypse, as armies coming from China and Israel and Russia and all this nonsense. And you know what? Because 4,000 years before this Bible was ever written, there was a book called Bhagavad Gita. And the Bhagavad Gita, the Hindu book, had Arjuna, you and me, sitting with Krishna on a hill overlooking a battlefield where the sons of the blind king on the left side had battle with the sons of somebody. But it was talking about the conflict in our head. And that's where, finally, what will happen is the armies that control us on the left side will be overrun by the armies of light that control us on the right side. That's what we've been looking for years in considering here Eta Carina and supernova 1987A. Electrical energy from both of them. One, supernova 1987A, I have proposed to you to be the seventh seal of the book of Revelation, and the other, Eta Carina, I have proposed to you to be the seventh angel of the book of Revelation. Which, and you know we've talked about this, many have said, well, what do you think is going to happen? That these things, these cosmic celestial bodies, will bring those selected into a whole new realm of life and a whole new realm of understanding, and understanding the things that are hidden from others. So basically, this is what we in the West would call the coming of the Christ, while in the East it would be called the coming of Krishna. Now, let's see about this precession. We'll go into the next slide. This time we are now in, well, we did this already, didn't we? Yeah, don't worry about it. All right, we'll go to the next one. Yes, go ahead and put that. And Jesus said to them, and this is what, because when we looked at that slide, it talked about this new generation, this regeneration. If you look at Matthew 19:28 in the Bible, and Jesus said to them, those of you who follow me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, you shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Oh, this is all, mythological stuff. But it's following him in the regeneration, which is the procession. It's the new time. That's why the meditation is so important. The Son of Man is actually the energy of fire which rises up the 7 chakras, or 7 seals of the spine, to the right hemisphere. And when that occurs, you sit upon the 12 thrones, which are the 12 cranial nerves in your brain, judging the 12 tribes, which are the various realms of consciousness that emanate from the 12 cranial nerves. That then is the return of the Christ mind. And here we find that the ancients, and you'll find information from scientists as we go along, the regeneration that's being spoken of here is proposed by the ancient to be December 21, 2012. So let's take a little further the specifics of the prophecy. Pakal Votan's prophetic call is alerting present-day humanity that our biological process is transforming. And it doesn't make any difference. Say, I don't believe that. Well, it's going to transform anyhow. Who cares whether we believe it or not? Approaching the culmination, now get this one, of a 26,000-year evolutionary program. You know what this is about? On December 21st, 2012, okay, that will be the end of the sun and the earth moving through the 12 signs. It took 26,000 years. And December 21st, 2012, at 11:11, will be the point where the trajectory starts open again for another 26,000 years. Approaching the culmination of a 26,000-year evolutionary program, bringing the return of universal telepathy, heightened sense capacity, and self-reflected consciousness. This is a return to the sacred domain of our inner technology. This grand cycle of evolution will culminate in the winter solstice, December 21st, 2012. What you have to understand, too, is that Wotan never said, you're going to get up on December 21st and everything's going to change, your head's going to blow off and all. No. It's a culmination. Okay? It's happening in 2008. It's going to happen more advanced in 2009, 2010. In other words, it culminates in 2012. But it's happening now. So we're not waiting for anything. We're experiencing it. Let's go back to USA Today. See what time this is going to happen. Part of the 2012 mystique stems from the stars on the winter solstice in 2012. Now, this is not Wotan. This is not somebody from thousands of years ago. These are scientists from today. Okay? On the winter solstice in 2012, the sun will be aligned with the center of the Milky Way, which is our galaxy, for the first time in 26,000 years. It has never happened before. This means that whatever energy typically streams to Earth from the center of the Milky Way will indeed be disrupted on December the 21st, 2012 at 11:11 p.m. And as I said, this is not from Mayans or some Indians. This is from Science Today, USA Today. That's from Universal Time, Lawrence Joseph. Okay. So, at 11:11 on December 21st, 2012. And 11:11 means it's in the morning. It's 11 a.m. If it was 11 at night, it would be 23:11. Well, maybe it is, and but generally what they do is they call. So we'll say 11:11 p.m. I'm glad you noticed that. But generally, when they do this time, they use the 24-hour, 23, so forth. But okay, let's say 11:11 p.m. Now let's understand this a bit more. What is coming to the end? What is the precession of the equinoxes? The first thing to understand, and you'll see this, it's not the easiest thing to understand. It's the scientific principle. The word is not procession, which is a march, but precession. And the ancient prophecies for 2012 deal with precession. And to understand the word, did you ever, when you were a kid, have a string, you put it around a top, and you pull the string, and the top spins, and then eventually it starts to wobble? That's precession. Because what they're saying is the earth spins, but at the same time it spins, it's wobbling. And so as it goes through, it's pointing at different zodiacal signs and different aspects of the celestial bodies at different times. You can look that up for yourself. But let's take a look about this wobbling and this precession, because that's what Wotan was talking about. Here's the earth, symbolically. Now you see the earth spins, and that's fine. But here's the earth's axis. And while it's spinning this way, it's wobbling that way. And this wobble takes 26,000 years to accomplish. In other words, as it spins and goes wherever the heck it goes, at the same time it's wobbling, which then moves it to, envelop itself in all different aspects of the zodiac. So you have the Earth spinning as it moves, but in addition, you have it wobbling. That's precession. And that's precession of the equinoxes. Now, do you understand that? I don't 100% understand, but, we understand it enough that we know that this happens. This is a scientific fact. It's spinning, it's moving, and at the same time that it's spinning and moving, it's wobbling. Okay. Well, now, that's the precession, but what is an equinox? Okay, let's see if we can find out. The word equinox means equal night, the duration of the day being equal to that of the night. An event which occurs but twice a year, the one marking the astrological beginning of spring and the other the ending of summer. So you have a situation where you get to the point, how like in January and everything, it's real dark all day, But here, you'll get to the point in June where it starts to line up where the daytime and the nighttime are about of equal duration. Okay, so you got this. You got a wobbling, spinning Earth, and the sun and all these other celestial bodies impacting the Earth, and this 26,000-year cycle, which was known to Wotan, and that's where all it's coming. And that 26,000 year is called the zodiacal year, or the Great Platonic year. It's actually the time it takes for the axis of the Earth to complete that circle or wobble in its orbit. Now let's look again at the precession. Solstices are a little different. You see it here, and I'm just repeating this so you can get an idea. You're on this Earth. Your Earth is traveling up here, but at the same time it's traveling, it's spinning. And at the same time it's spinning, up here its axis is wobbling like a top. Okay? Now, solstices, that's different than equinox. Equinox, think of the word equal. Equal day and equal night. Solstices occur twice a year, when the tilt of the axis that you see there is oriented directly towards the sun or directly away from the sun, causing the sun to appear to reach its northernmost and southernmost positions. The precession of the Earth's axis has a number of observable effects. Firstly, the positions of the north and south celestial poles appear to move in circles against the assumed fixed backdrop of stars completing one circuit in 26,000 years. And this is it's all you have to know. You don't have to try to figure this out. But this will give you an idea. While today the star Polaris lies approximately at the north celestial pole, this will change over time, and other stars will become the North Star. As the celestial poles shift, there's a corresponding gradual shift in the orientation of the whole star field as viewed from a particular position on Earth. And you say, I hope this isn't boring to you, because we're just trying to really get to know what they're talking about, because we are all going to move closer and closer and closer to 2012, okay? So let's take a look at another definition and try to get a clearer idea of what this is about. That basically shows you everything. The Earth and its position to the sun, the wobble, and it's up here and it's over there and it's there, but at each point it's pointing in a different direction as a result of the axis, okay? There's no doubt, even though we may not understand it, that it's going to happen. Let's see what we got the next one, John. I don't even know here because this has got a little thought on it. Yeah, this is a good one, though, because this will show the wobble here. And this is how our interaction with all of these different zodiacal signs and so forth occurs as we spin and wobble. Here's the Big Dipper and so forth and so on. And basically, you know, the Earth will orbit around the sun, and it's like the hands of a great clock. You know, it's moving and so forth. Now, let's look at where we are now in 2008 and go up to 2012, the prophesied time of the great change. This is the equinox in March. That's when day and night are equal. This is the solstice in June. Okay, that's the summer. And that's the equinox in September, when day and night are equal, and the solstice. So, Joan, you're going to be clicking. Click the first one. The equinox in March in 2008, okay, it's going to occur March the 20th. Well, it occurred March the 20th at 5:48 a.m., I guess. We'll go to the next one in 2009, March the 20th, the equinox at 11:44. 2010, March the 20th, the equinox at 5:32 p.m., okay? 2011, March the 20th, the equinox at 23:21. Okay, 23:21 is 11 p.m., 11:21. And 2012, March the 20th at 5:14 a.m. Now we'll look at the solstice in June. 2008, it's June the 20th at 11:59, almost 12 midnight, okay, 23:59. In 2009, it's going to be on June 21st at 5:45 a.m. In 2010, June 21st at 11:28 a.m. 2011, June 21st at 5:16 p.m. And in 2012, June 20th at 23:09. So there we have, you know, spring and summer. Now we go to fall and winter. And the September equinox in 2008 is going to be September the 22nd at 3:44 in the afternoon. 2009, September the 22nd at 9:18 in the evening. 2010, it's going to be September the 23rd at 3:09 in the afternoon. 3:09 in the morning, I guess. 2011, it's going to be September 23rd at 9:04 in the morning. And on 2012, it's going to be September the 22nd, 1449. Now the winter solstice. This is the Christmas time, the time of the new birth, and we'll show you how that ties in. 2008, it's going to be December the 21st at 12:04, which is in the afternoon. 2009, it's going to be December the 21st at 5:47 p.m. 2010, it's going to be December 21st at 11:38 p.m. 2011, it's going to be December the 22nd at 5:30 a.m. And 2012, it's going to be December 21st at 11:11 a.m. or p.m., whatever. So you have a pretty good idea what the precession of the equinoxes mean, I hope. You know the prophecy of Wotan, the Mayan, for the great change to culminate on December the 21st, 2012. So let's look at the prophecy itself and how it connects to cosmic bodies seen through Hubble, and try to get more specific about the prophecy. If we go back to the website, The Living Prophecy, there is a comment on the beliefs of Wotan that we'll look at now. If humanity wishes to save itself from biospheric destruction, it must return to living in natural time. He foretold of an accelerated technological society, which we have, and the resulting damage of our collective divergence from natural law in exchange for materialist values. He said, oh, you're going to have a lot of fancy technological stuff, but you're going to kill the earth with it. Because, why? Can't you have both? Of course, but we didn't take care of the earth at the same time as we were taking care of ourselves. Paco Wotan's prophetic call is alerting present-day humanity that our biological process is transforming, approaching the culmination of a 26,000-year evolutionary program. This grand cycle will culminate on December 21st, 2012. Now, the purpose of Wotan's prophecy was as follows here. This information was given from Wotan so that future generations would be alerted to the coming end point of this great 26,000-year cycle. A cycle which corresponds also to a 26,000-year relationship of our sun orbiting Alphaeon, the central star of the seven sisters of the Pleiades constellation. According to Wotan, the future, which lies beyond this end date, is literally a new world age, a new creation. I think that's terrific. I mean, this is an exciting thing to look for. So what we're looking is something of the likes of which we don't experience, but we're starting to see, we're starting to experience, what's going on in all this stuff. You know what drew me closer to that last phrase, a new creation? It's a new birth. Something will be born among us, and the world that we knew will be replaced, and it is being replaced. And I've spoken about this for many years, and pointed to supernova 1987A and the Hourglass Nebula, and Eta Carina as centers of our attention. Eta Carina, I propose, the seventh angel of Revelation. Supernova as the seventh seal of Revelation, or the awakening. That is what Revelation is. And as we saw before, apocalypse, the word is the awakening, the lifting of the veil, enlightenment. The light will touch planet Earth, and in fact is touching planet Earth. And that is why I'm taking this prophecy of Wotan a bit more seriously than others that I have read, because it seems to harmonize with all of these things I've proposed to you concerning nebulas and constellations. A new age indeed. A new birth. But how did he come up with 2012? I mean, 26,000 years had to start sometime, and it's going to wind up on December 21st, 2012. Dr. Jose Arquelles wrote a book, and he said this, Time and Technosphere. August 13, 3113 BC is as precise and accurate as one can get for the beginning of history. The first Egyptian dynasty is dated to 3100, the first city, Uruk in Mesopotamia, 3100, the Hindu Kali Yuga, 3102, and most interestingly, the division of time into 24 hours of 60 minutes each, and each minute into 60 seconds, and the division of the circle into 360 degrees, also around 3100 BC in Sumeria. The beginning of history was so accurately placed, then must not the end of history, December 21st, 2012, also be as accurate. And that's what he says. The great year is based on the precession of the Earth's wobble that we talked about. And to me, there simply is too much that I truly do not understand about astronomy and how it connects to the zodiac, and I don't. So I've been trying to study. And I came across a site called Kamakala.com, written by Roderick Marling. 3100 BC turns out to be the time when the earliest civilizations are recorded, and it may be a coincidence, but even you see at that same 3100 how we got our linear time of 60 minutes and all that stuff. Let's see what Marling says. This is, and I recommend it highly that you go to this website, the Kamakala Gallery, www.kamakala.com. Okay?
Billy, why don't you write on the blackboard first?
Well, it's no.
But it's going to go off in a minute.
No, why is it?
Because you're going to go to another...
Well, that's all right. You got that. Everybody got that wants it. I know. I'm running out of time here now, and I wanted to... Okay. What Marling is saying, that the Mayan prophecy corresponds to our date of December 21st, 2012. From the beginning of time, human beings, from the most primitive to the most culturally sophisticated, have followed and recorded the natural rhythms and cycles of the earth. The intricate dance between the earth and the other heavenly bodies. Ancient people of the earth were concerned with these natural rhythms and cycles because their lives and livelihood depended on them. In certain times of the year, food was plentiful in certain regions and not in others. At certain times, the rains would come. At others, they could expect the heat and drought. They also observed that fertility was somehow linked with the cycles of the moon. So, there's nothing basically that we don't already know, but it opens for us a starting point, okay? A point that addresses the importance that people have always put on the celestial bodies. We'll go to the next one and see what it says. Heaven and nature touched every aspect of their lives back then. Of course, they lived on the earth. Not only did their astronomical observations indicate when to plant their crops, when to harvest, but also where to locate their temples, how to design their homes, how to orientate their cities. These people occupied a living and intelligent universe that governed their lives. Survival and success then depended on how one could read the celestial sign. And, you know, as I said, I have problems with them. Because, you know, this idea that, you know, they could go ahead and kill people, especially children, to sacrifice to the gods is never made, you know. So anyhow, let's go on before I... Okay, let's look here, and we'll see from the astronomical point of view. This is something, these are basics. The Earth spins on its axis and does one complete revolution every 24 hours. You know that. The Moon circles the Earth every 30 days. You know that. The Earth moves around the Sun every 365 days. You know that. The Sun moves through the constellations every 26,000 years. Okay? So that's really nothing that you haven't seen before. So let's go back to Kama-Kala. With this particular context in mind, we are now prepared to examine more closely the reasons why the winter solstice in the year 2012 is so important. In the Mayan long count calendar, a cycle of 5,200 years ends on this date. And it just so happens. Now, this is the point where, you know, you got to start saying, oh, I'm not sure whether... This is where it gets to the point where you've really got to take it seriously. It just so happens